The idea that these like small shifts in how we communicate
Yeah.
can have such a big impact on our relationships
Right.
and our overall well-being
Hmm.
is just, it's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, it's almost like we're relearning how to connect with each other.
Yeah.
Like on this deeper, more authentic level.
And what I find really interesting is, it's not just about
Yeah.
resolving conflict or navigating those difficult conversations.
Right.
She talks about using it to build deeper connections and like foster intimacy in our relationships.
Totally. It's not just about damage control.
Right.
It's about actively cultivating those positive and meaningful connections.
All right. So today, we're taking a deep dive into conscious communication
Oh, interesting.
using this piece by Violet Spring. She's a holistic life coach.
Okay.
And the article is called The Art of Conscious Communication, Building Deeper Connections and Resolving Conflict Peacefully. It feels really relevant today. The world's moving so fast and it's easy to get caught up in everything.
Yeah, and you know what I think is really cool about this piece is that Spring goes beyond just like the words that we're saying, you know? She's really emphasizing the intention behind what we're communicating.
Yeah.
And also like our listening skills and even like our awareness of our own emotions and the person that we're engaging with.
It really is like this whole, like a multifaceted thing.
Yeah.
Where so much can be misinterpreted if you're not careful. So how does she actually define conscious communication?
Well, she describes it as engaging in conversation with awareness, intention, and empathy. So it's really about being present in the moment, truly listening and responding thoughtfully rather than just like reacting.
That sounds challenging, but also like really rewarding.
Yeah.
Especially when she talks about all the benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like stronger relationships, less conflict, and even like improved emotional well-being.
Right. And she gives this great example of how actively listening
to
your partner during a disagreement can really make them feel heard and valued, which can really kind of de-escalate a situation.
Right.
Because it shifts the focus from like winning the argument to actually understanding each other's perspectives.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could be really helpful.
Uh-huh.
So how do we actually do it? How do we put it into practice?
She breaks it down into 5 key principles.
Okay.
The first one is being present in the conversation.
Okay.
So that's like putting away your phone, making eye contact, really focusing on what the other person is saying.
So no more pretending to listen while you're scrolling?
Exactly, yeah. No more of that.
Okay, good.
The second principle is about active listening.
Okay.
Which means not just hearing the words, but understanding the emotions behind them.
Yeah.
So really paying attention to those nonverbal cues and those unspoken messages.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work.
It is. It is.
Any tips for like how to be a better active listener?
Well, she suggests using verbal cues like tell me more or I see.
Right.
Just to demonstrate that you're really paying attention and engaged.
Just those little things
can
really make a difference.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's next?
Well, next we have speaking with intention.
Okay.
So that means thinking about whether what you're about to say
is
true, kind, and necessary before you actually say it.
Yeah, it's so easy to just like blurt things out, especially when you're emotional.
Totally.
So this feels like it takes a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And then we have empathy, which is really the ability to step into someone else's shoes and genuinely try to see things from their perspective.
I feel like that's like the foundation of connection.
Yeah.
Like really going beyond your own experience and tapping into someone else's reality.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And finally, she stresses staying calm.
Okay.
Especially during those like difficult conversations.
Right.
So if things get heated, taking a break, breathing deeply and coming back to the conversation when you're feeling more grounded can really prevent things from like escalating further.
It's like responding, not reacting.
Yeah.
Which is, that can be really hard.
It is.
When you're feeling triggered or upset.
Yeah, it takes practice for sure.
Yeah.
And, Spring emphasizes that conflict is a natural part of any relationship and can actually even be a catalyst for growth.
So it's not about avoiding it.
Right.
It's about like learning how to handle it in a constructive way.
Exactly. Yeah. And she gives us a framework for doing just that.
Okay.
The first step is to acknowledge the issue without placing blame. So instead of saying like, you always do this, you focus on the problem itself.
Okay, so like how would you do that?
Well, you could say something like,
Yeah.
I've noticed we've been disagreeing about this lately. Can we talk about it?
Okay, so you're not blaming.
Exactly.
You're just saying, hey, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next?
The next step is to use I statements
Okay.
to express your feelings without accusing or blaming.
Okay.
So instead of saying, you make me so angry,
Right.
you would say, I feel frustrated when this happens.
Okay, so you're owning your emotions.
Yeah.
You're not attacking the other person.
Exactly.
Got it.
Another important strategy is active listening.
Okay.
So again, allowing the other person to express their viewpoint fully without interrupting.
So you're really trying to understand, even if you don't agree.
Right.
Okay.
And then finding common ground.
Okay.
Even in disagreements, there's usually areas where you both agree.
Right.
So finding those and building upon those shared goals or values.
So it's like remembering that even when you disagree,
Yeah.
you probably want the same outcome.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And then finally, working collaboratively towards a solution.
Okay.
So it's not about one person winning, it's about finding a win-win
Got it.
where everyone feels heard,
Okay.
respected,
Okay.
and that their needs have been considered.
So it's really about seeing conflict as an opportunity to grow
Yeah,
and to connect on a deeper level.
exactly.
Cool. Now, what about building deeper connections with people like outside of conflict?
Well, she has a lot to say about that too. One of the most powerful tools she talks about is asking open-ended questions
Okay.
that really encourage the other person to share more about themselves and their experiences.
Give me an example.
So instead of saying like, do you have a good day?
Right.
You could say, what was the highlight of your day?
Okay, so you're inviting them to share more.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of just like a yes or no answer.
Okay, cool. What else?
Another thing is expressing appreciation.
Okay.
So those small gestures of gratitude,
Yeah.
like saying thank you or acknowledging someone's efforts, can go a long way.
It's about making people feel seen,
Yeah.
like they matter.
Exactly.
Okay, and then what?
And then she talks about vulnerability,
Oh, okay.
which can be scary,
Right.
but it's essential for building trust and intimacy.
Yeah.
It's about sharing our true selves,
Mm.
our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, it takes courage
It does.
to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then finally, practicing patience. Building strong, meaningful relationships takes time
Yeah.
and effort.
Right. You can't force it.
Exactly. You can't rush it.
Okay.
And, spring reminds us that we won't always be perfect communicators.
Right. We're human.
Yeah. We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But the key is to learn from them and keep practicing.
I love that. It takes the pressure off.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about continuous growth and improvement.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So this concept of conscious communication, I mean, it's really resonating with me. The idea that these like small shifts in how we communicate
Yeah.
can have such a big impact on our relationships
Right.
and our overall well-being is just, it's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, it's almost like we're relearning how to connect with each other.
Yeah.
Like on this deeper, more authentic level.
And what I find really interesting is, it's not just about
Yeah.
resolving conflict or navigating those difficult conversations.
Right.
She talks about using it to build deeper connections and like foster intimacy in our relationships.
Totally. It's not just about damage control.
Right.
It's about actively cultivating those positive and meaningful connections.
This makes me think about the times I've felt truly heard and understood in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like what made those conversations so meaningful?
Yeah. What were those elements
Yeah.
that really made it stand out?
It kind of goes back to that intentionality thing.
Yeah.
Like when you approach these interactions with awareness
Right.
and purpose,
Yeah.
it's like you're saying, hey, you matter.
Yeah.
What you have to say is important,
It creates that foundation of trust and respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is so essential for any meaningful connection.
It's fascinating how these small shifts
Yeah.
can have such a big impact.
It's like we're tapping into something deeper,
Yeah.
like rediscovering the power of genuine connection.
Yeah, in a world that can feel so disconnected.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really appreciate how Spring, she encourages us to see communication as a process,
Yeah.
like a journey of growth and learning.
It's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about trying to be better,
Exactly.
more mindful,
Yeah.
more empathetic.
Yeah,
And that's empowering
it is.
because it's like you said, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
And it's just about keep trying, keep growing.
Keep learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so speaking of like the broader impact of this,
Yeah.
we've talked about how it can improve our relationships,
Yeah.
help us navigate the workplace, but like what about communities
Right.
and the world at large? Like how can conscious communication create positive change there?
Well, it's about recognizing that our choices in communication, they
Yeah.
really ripple outward,
Yeah.
impacting not only our immediate relationships,
Right.
but also like the social fabric of our communities.
So like when we're communicating with awareness and empathy and intention.
Yeah. It's like we're contributing to a more compassionate,
Right.
understanding world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Imagine communities where people feel truly heard,
Yeah.
like understood, where conflicts are approached as opportunities for growth
Right.
instead of battles to be won,
Totally.
where vulnerability is celebrated,
Uh-huh.
not seen as a
Yeah.
weakness.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful vision.
It is.
And it really starts with each of us,
Yeah.
like making that choice to communicate in a way that reflects our values and our aspirations.
Right. Making that conscious choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her work offers a roadmap.
It does.
It's like a guide for how to cultivate this more mindful and compassionate approach to communication.
Right. It gives us tools
Yeah.
to create positive change.
Within ourselves,
Yeah.
our relationships,
Yeah.
and the world around us.
Absolutely.
And I really love that. It's a reminder that every interaction, no matter how small, it has the potential to contribute to a more connected, understanding, and harmonious world.
It does.
So as we kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with a question to think about.
All right.
The next time you find yourself in a conversation, take a moment
Yeah.
to pause and ask yourself,
Right.
how can I make this interaction a positive
Yeah.
and meaningful experience for both myself and the other person?
It's such a simple question.
Yeah.
But it can be so transformative.
That's it. That's the essence of it.
Yeah.
Bringing awareness, intention,
Uh-huh.
and empathy to every interaction,
Yeah.
creating a world where understanding and connection prevail.
That's the goal.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it can really change things just by asking yourself that one question.
Yeah. It's powerful. It reminds us that every conversation matters.
Right, exactly.
She doesn't shy away from the hard stuff, though.
Oh, no, not at all.
She talks about those tough conversations that we all have to have.
Yeah, like the difficult ones.
Yeah.
And she actually offers some really practical advice on how to handle those conversations with, grace and compassion.
Okay. Yeah.
And it starts with acknowledging the issue without blame.
See, that's where I get stuck.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just jump to blame.
Right, especially when you're feeling all those emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah, but she encourages us to shift that focus
Okay.
away from who's at fault
Yeah.
and more towards understanding the problem together.
Okay.
Hey everyone! Before we dive deeper into today's topic, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about my book, The Essential Guide to Supplements. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the world of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and more, this book is here to help. It's packed with easy-to-understand information to help you make informed decisions about supplements for your health needs. Whether you're looking to boost your energy, support your immune system, or just feel your best, this guide breaks it all down in a way that's practical and actionable. You'll learn what each supplement does, how to take it, and even how to combine supplements for the best results. Plus, it covers important safety tips, like potential side effects and interactions, so you can feel confident about what you're putting into your body. If you're ready to take control of your health and make smarter choices about supplements, The Essential Guide to Supplements is available now on Amazon. I've included the link in the description below. Check it out and start your journey to better health today.
So instead of you did this, it's more like, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Let's figure this out together.
Okay, that makes sense. That feels more collaborative.
Right, exactly. It's like you're on the same team.
Did you have any other tips or techniques?
Oh, yeah, she has a lot of good stuff.
Okay.
One thing she talks about is using I statements to express your feelings and needs without accusing or judging the other person.
It's like that, it reminds me of nonviolent communication.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's all about owning your own experience.
Right. It's about taking responsibility for your emotions
Yeah,
instead of blaming the other person for how you feel.
right. And that's hard,
It is hard.
especially when you're hurt or angry.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
But it seems like it's really important for maintaining respect
Absolutely.
and understanding in the conversation.
It's crucial. Yeah, it really helps to keep that communication open.
And she also talks about listening, right?
Yes. Active listening is huge.
Okay.
Really allowing that other person to express their viewpoint fully without interrupting them.
So it's deeper than just hearing the words.
Oh, yeah. It's about really trying to understand their perspective.
Even if you don't agree.
Exactly. Even if you don't agree.
Okay, so you've both had a chance to talk.
Uh-huh.
What's next? How do you move towards like a resolution?
Well, she talks about finding common ground,
Okay.
which might seem kind of counterintuitive when you're in the middle of a conflict.
Yeah, because you're so focused on what's different.
Right, but the thing is, even when you disagree,
Yeah.
there's usually things that you both agree on.
Okay.
You probably have some shared goals
Okay.
or values, you know?
So it's about like remembering that you're not totally opposed.
Exactly, you're not enemies, you're just trying to figure things out.
Okay. And then the final step.
Well, the final step is collaboration.
Okay.
So it's working together to find a solution that works for everyone.
That win-win situation.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. A win-win solution where everybody feels good about it.
That sounds so much better than like one person winning and one person losing.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's much more likely to actually stick, you know?
Right. And it probably strengthens the relationship.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it turns that conflict into something positive.
It's like turning that conflict into an opportunity for growth.
Yeah, exactly. It's about understanding each other better.
Okay, this makes me think about like power dynamics.
Okay.
Like in a workplace setting, you know, there's a manager and an employee.
Uh-huh.
There's a power imbalance there. Can these principles still work?
Oh, absolutely. I think they're even more important in those situations
Okay.
because they can help create a more respectful and equitable environment.
So like a manager who really listens to their employees.
Yeah, and tries to understand their perspective.
And an employee who can advocate for their needs in a respectful way.
Right, exactly. Using those I statements and focusing on solutions.
So it's not about like taking away the power dynamic.
Right.
It's about like finding a way to communicate effectively within it.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where everyone feels safe to speak up.
Okay, that's powerful. And it's not just limited to the workplace, right?
No, not at all. These principles can apply to any relationship.
Yeah, because we all have different levels of power in different situations.
Exactly, and it's about navigating those dynamics in a healthy way.
So we've talked about individual relationships, the workplace,
Uh-huh.
but what about the bigger picture, like communities
Yeah.
and the world?
Right.
How can conscious communication create change on that level?
Well, it starts with understanding that our communication choices have a ripple effect.
Okay.
They impact not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us.
So when we're mindful and intentional in our communication,
Yeah.
it's like we're creating a more positive environment for everyone.
Exactly. We're contributing to a more compassionate world.
Imagine communities where people really listen to each other,
Yeah, and try to understand each other.
where conflict is seen as an opportunity to learn and grow,
Right, instead of something to be feared.
and where people feel safe to be themselves, to be vulnerable.
Yeah, where authenticity is celebrated.
That's a world I want to live in.
Me too. And it all starts with each of us making a conscious choice to communicate in a way that reflects those values.
So her work is really a guide for how to create that kind of world
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we have the power to make a difference.
through our words and our actions.
Exactly. Every conversation is an opportunity to create positive change.
This deep dive has been really thought-provoking.
Uh-huh.
It's made me think about my own communication patterns in a new way.
Yeah, it's definitely a journey of self-discovery.
And it's a journey I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, me too.
So as we move towards the last part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I'm curious to explore, like, how do we actually put this into practice?
Right. How do we make it a part of our daily lives?
What are those concrete steps we can take to become more conscious communicators?
Yeah. What are those tangible things we can do every day?
It's really about like shifting our focus to those smaller moments
Right.
instead of thinking that it has to be this big, grand thing.
Yeah. And it reminds me of mindfulness, you know?
Oh,
That idea of bringing your full attention to the present moment
right.
without judgment.
Which seems like a pretty important foundation
Yeah, definitely.
if you want to be a good communicator.
Absolutely. Because when you're mindful,
Yeah.
you become more aware of like not just your own internal state,
Mhm.
but also those subtle cues from the other person.
Right, like their body language.
Exactly, yeah. Their tone of voice, facial expressions.
So you can respond with more sensitivity
Right, and intention.
because you're really paying attention.
Exactly, you're present.
It makes me think about nonverbal communication,
Oh, yeah.
which is so important.
It's huge.
Like sometimes it says more than words.
Absolutely.
And when you're practicing conscious communication,
Yeah.
you're more attuned to those things.
Right. Both in yourself and in the other person.
So it's like your words are matching your actions,
Exactly. There's that congruence.
which builds trust.
Yeah, and transparency.
So it's not just about the words.
Right.
It's about everything.
It's about the whole package. Yeah, it's like a dance.
Her insights really challenge us to think about communication in a new way.
They do, yeah. It's like expanding our understanding of what communication really is.
It's like an art form.
Yeah, it is an art form.
It's not just like a task to check off your list.
Right. It's about expression.
It's about connection.
Yeah.
And growth.
This has been amazing.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much about conscious communication.
Me too.
Hmm?
It's really powerful stuff.
It makes you realize that we have the power to create real change.
Yeah, through the way we communicate.
In our relationships,
Yeah.
our communities,
Wow.
the world.
And it all starts with us.
So as we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to ask our listeners, what's one small step you can take today
Yeah, what's one thing you can do differently?
to be a more conscious communicator?
Maybe it's pausing before you speak
Right.
to really think about what you want to say.
Or really listening to someone.
Yeah, or choosing your words more carefully.
Every little bit counts. It does. Because those small changes can have a ripple effect.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope you learned something new
And that you'll keep those conversations flowing.
with awareness, intention, and empathy.
Exactly.
Until next time.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, leave a comment below, and be sure to subscribe and help us build this awesome holistic heroes tribe. And while you're waiting for new episodes, check out my other videos from these playlists.